how are you all doing? Welcome back to Aurora's Angels YouTube channel for another video, Unapologetic Truth, where we talk about debatable, controversial and of course embarrassing topics that not many people feel comfortable enough talking about. Today's video from me is definitely a embarrassing topic. I wouldn't say it's debatable. I would say it's definitely more embarrassing. I feel like a lot of women, especially even more so than men, do not talk about this topic a lot, as if it is such an alien topic. Definitely going to be diving in with that. So, today's topic. Thrush. I'm not going to lie. If this was me 6 months ago, I would not have spoke about this. Like, I would not have spoke about it at all. I feel like I've definitely come a long way as a person, mentally and spiritually, in the past 6 months. I would not have spoke about this beforehand, but now I feel like at the end of the day, people are going to like you, people are going to hate you, people are going to slag you off, people are going to love you and praise you behind your back regardless of what you do. So being real and being completely true and honest is just the best way forward. And since I've really realized that, it's made me feel a lot more comfortable about talking about these topics. And I'm hoping that if you are someone who isn't confident to be talking about it that much, especially this topic, then this video may help you feel like you are not alone. For those of you who do not know what thrush is a fungal infection that women and men can get that is in your vagina. And so many people think if you have thrush, you are dirty. People treat it like it's a sexually transmitted disease. Some people treat it as if you don't wash. Some people treat it as if you are genuinely dirty as a person and a bit, you know, disgusting. That is the way that people treat it. That is the reality of it. I have heard so many people speak about thrush as if it is an alien taboo subject, and they're like, ugh. Men talk about it as if it is the most disgusting thing that they have ever spoken about in their lives. Maybe it's because some of the symptoms can be little bit like out there, I'm not gonna lie. However, it is such a common thing, and that is why I thought I'm going to do a video on thrush. Let's talk about thrush, ladies. Let's talk about thrush, gents. I don't know, you may be a guy watching this and you may be interested in thrush, but let's talk about it. I'm going to be completely real about it, and brace yourselves because it may get a little bit disgusting. I'm not going to lie. To be honest, what is the point in acting as if it's not normal when so many women, and I'm talking about more often than not, a woman will have it? If you haven't had thrush before and you think it's disgusting, honestly, you will get it at some point in your life. Like, I'm sure you will get it at some point in your life. If you haven't had it already, you will get it. If you've already had it, you will know what I'm talking about. You will know the pain that we go through. It is horrible. Now, I personally, TMI, but let's do it anyway because we're being real, I have had thrush so many times. More so since I've had children. Now, I don't know if that's because I've had kids, it's made it worse, but wow, I'm not even joking. It is the most irritating, annoying fucking thing in the entire world. I'm not being funny or anything, but the symptoms that you get with thrush are just, ugh, are so annoying. Now, if you don't know what thrush is, like I said, it is a fungal infection, and the symptoms can be anything from discoloured discharge, smelly discharge, textured discharge, that is like a cottage cheese texture, severe itching and soreness. And they're basically like the main symptoms. Now, I've never had thrush to the point that my discharge has been discoloured. I've never had discharge. I've never had discharge. So I've never ever had that issue. And when I've had thrush, I've never had the issue of it being cottage cheese like either. I know that these are symptoms where it's quite severe. And I also know that you can get it even when it's quite mild, but I find that my worst symptom, I don't have smelly discharge either. I've never had any problems with a smell. But my biggest problem is the itch, the irritation. It is I'm not gonna lie, I could rip my vagina off. It is so annoying. Now, women struggle with it. It is normal. It is not disgusting. It does not mean you're dirty. It does not mean you don't wash. Actually, thrush is very commonly brought on by overwashing down there. So actually, if anyone's got thrush, more often than not, they're too clean. I never thought you could be too clean, especially down there, but apparently you can. And it can also be brought on by tight clothing, tight underwear, lace underwear, of course sex. So if you have sex with someone unprotected and you have sex with a guy and say that they have thrush, they can pass it on to you. Or if you have sex, you have a sexual relationship with obviously your partner and you have thrush and you pass it to them, you treat yourself, get rid of it, but they don't treat themselves, you can get it back again. So it can be passed sexually, of course it can, but it is not a STD, it's not a sexually transmitted disease, it's not like chlamydia or herpes or gonorrhea. It is just a normal infection that is very, very common, more common than you realise. Most women that you walk past in the street at some point in their lives will get or have already had thrush. Some women really suffer with it. Some women suffer with it to the point they even change their food diets, like their diet completely, to stop it from happening. Now, I'm not exactly a thrush expert, I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't be able to sit here and tell you all the medical technical names and stuff like that for certain things, but I do know that the main things that can cause it are everything that I've just listed, and of course something called douching. Now, douching is not something that I've ever done, but I know that it's very, very common, and the only reason I know about it is because when I went to the doctors once, because I had thrush that no matter how much I treated, it was just not going away, I got asked if I was douching, which is basically where you have a shower head and you would literally hold it up there to try and clean it. Apparently that is really bad for you. I've never done that, but I did find out that the reason that I was continuously getting thrush was simply because I was cleaning myself down there too much. So the stigma about thrush being disgusting and dirty is what annoys me the most, because actually one of the most common causes of thrush is being too clean rather than being too dirty. Like, you hear it all the time about nits, you hear it all the time about nits, like nits go in clean hair, nits don't go in dirty hair. So you may see someone and they may have nits and initially you're like, ugh, that's disgusting, they're so dirty, but really it's because they've got clean hair. Nits like clean hair. Now, it's similar to thrush. Like, thrush breeds, like the bacteria breeds when it's too clean. Soaps, perfume body washes, anything like that, that can cause it. Now, I found from my personal experience that I got thrush. Of course I had thrush before I ended up having children. Like, I've had thrush before, and my main problem was because I used to love wearing lacy knickers, and I still do. I love the look of a pair of lacy knickers. I think they look lovely. Of course they make you feel sexy, and I also like to wear like lace thongs as well, especially if I don't want a knicker line, but you know, of course they're nicer than the average thong. Of course I found that that was what would cause me thrush to begin with. However, I never used to get it that much. Hang on, let me just have some of my tea. Seeing as we're spilling the tea right now. Does anyone find that they drink weird when they've got lipstick on? Like, I find I don't want to smudge it. Yeah, so I found that I would get thrush quite a lot, but not like bad, and I wouldn't ever get it like constantly. I wouldn't even say quite a lot, but a lot more than what my friends made out that they had. Now, I'm not saying that they did get it, and I'm not saying that they definitely didn't. I don't know, but I also know that thrush is a lot more common than what I thought growing up, and I was really scared of anyone ever knowing that I had it. I never got thrush until I was sort of in like my mid-teens, so I would say like 15, 16 years old. And then I did have my eldest daughter, so I have 2 children, and I had my eldest daughter when I was 18, and I found that after I had my eldest daughter was when I started getting it a lot more, especially when wearing tights and leggings and tight knickers and of course lacy knickers. I found that I would get it a lot. Now, when I noticed that I used to get it really, really bad was when I had my youngest daughter. Now, I had her when I was 20, but during my pregnancy with her, I found that I was getting it constantly and I could not get rid of it, and I just couldn't understand why. Now, the doctors checked me over. Of course, there was nothing actually wrong going on with me down there at all, so it wasn't anything like bad causing it, but what we figured was, of course, I was being too clean down there. Now, I didn't even know that was a thing, and I was advised not to use soaps and not to use like body washes or even like female, like feminine washes for down there. Like, I wasn't allowed to use anything like that, and I was like, okay, well, how do I keep myself clean? So I ended up going online, and I actually found something that is really good for women who suffer with thrush and who can't use perfume products down there, which is still a soap and a cleanser, but it's got like a good pH balance and everything, so it doesn't affect you down there. And since using that, I have found I do not have any problems with getting thrush, but it was having to find that out. But around that time was when I realised how stigmatised it really was. It was so common, and apparently it's extremely common for pregnant women to get thrush. And I felt so disgusting. Honestly, I felt so disgusting. I felt like I was walking around with an STD. Now, at the end of the day, I don't want to seem like judgmental when I say that either. Like, I've never had an STD in my life. I have been checked before after like having like breakups with exes. Like, of course you never know, because especially when I found like exes have cheated on me, and I've been cheated on, I have been tested, and you know, touch wood, I've never ever caught it. Don't get me wrong, I have never been one to sleep around and, you know, not be careful and stuff like that when it comes to like sexual intercourse and stuff like that. So I've never really been someone that's been, I've never neglected down there, put it that way. I've always been really, really careful, and we knew there was nothing else going on. It was literally just thrush, and it was like, I felt disgusting though. Like, I felt like people would judge me if they knew. Oh, I'm popular. So I found that it was really, really embarrassing to talk about it, and I felt like I was almost embarrassed to even go to the doctors about it, when really it is so normal. Now, thrush, let's be honest, let's talk real and openly about it. Thrush is the most irritating thing in the world. It is, oh, it's horrible, and it's not even just like a normal itch, it's like a prickly, stingy itch. So you really want to scratch it, and you can't, because the more you scratch it, the more you're going to make it worse. What woman wants to sit there and scratch the hell out of their, like, let's be honest, no woman wants to do that. But at the same time, you are literally sat there and you're fidgeting and you're so uncomfortable, and no matter what knickers and anything you put on, like, once you've got it, you've got it, and you have got to treat it. Do you know what I mean? So I've always used Canesten Duo. I use the pessary and I use the external cream. The external cream is my absolute godsend when I have thrush, because it's the itch and it stops the itch. But I feel like every woman that's ever had it can definitely agree that we've all got to that point at some point when it's been that bad that you've made yourself sore down there, and that is the worst thing, and it's awful. But I think another thing with thrush that people don't talk about, and I think women are almost too worried about as well, is if you have thrush and you have slept with your man recently, you need to be open and honest with them. You need to tell them, you need to say, like, look, I've had thrush, you need to treat yourself too, because if they don't get treated, they will only end up passing it back to you. You don't want it again. Believe you me, you want to avoid thrush at all costs. If that means cutting out lacy knickers, if that means stopping wearing such tight clothing around that area, if it means not washing down there with perfumed soaps or changing the soap that you use, anything like that, you are going to want to change it. So I think people need to be a lot more open, especially with their partners, about it if you're not already, and get them treated if you need treating too. At the end of the day, if you're in a serious relationship, there should be nothing stopping you from being completely open with your partner about it, and I don't think it's anything to be embarrassed about. And if they think it's fucking disgusting, tell them to watch this video, because it is not. It is normal. Tell them to research the facts and statistics. Here is another fact that not many people know, and I didn't even know. If you're a woman and you have been on antibiotics within the last 3 weeks, you are at higher risk of giving your sexual partner thrush, even if you do not have the symptoms of the thrush. You could be on antibiotics, and if you've been on antibiotics, regardless as to whether you have thrush or any thrush symptoms, you can pass thrush on to another guy. And also, did you know, thrush, if oral sex is given when the other person has thrush, you can also get thrush in your mouth, and babies can be born to a pregnant woman with thrush in their mouth if at the time of birth the pregnant woman has thrush. Now, I didn't know all these things, and upon researching I was really, really interested, because I thought, see, this is actually a really common, normal thing, but people talk about it like it's disgusting. But really, in reality, it really just means that you're clean, or your clothes are too tight, or you've been on antibiotics, for goodness sake. It is not something to be disgusted about. And if a man is disgusted by it after you explaining, or after they watch this damn video, if you have explained really that thrush isn't disgusting and they still find it gross, then they're too immature and they need to grow up. That's just the way that I think about it. Honestly, it really is. that concludes my video. And do you know what, it wasn't as awkward talking about it as I thought it would be. I still thought it was quite awkward because I still know there's a stigma around it, but I also know I'm not dirty. I'm a very, very, very clean woman. I always have been. My personal hygiene is very, very important. I know that I'm not disgusting. I know that I've not brought this on myself by like sleeping around. I've been in a relationship for the past 6 years. At the end of the day, like, I am a normal woman. I've had 2 children, and before and after and during pregnancy, but before and after having kids, I have suffered with thrush. It is a normal thing. It is a woman's thing. It is so normal, and it can happen to men as well. And I think the sooner that people are more open about it and accepting towards it, the sooner it's not going to be like, there's not going to be a label on it for being disgusting, because that is not a fact. That is not a fact at all. The fact of the matter is, you could be too clean and you may just not know it. So yeah, don't be embarrassed about thrush, huns. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. I will be back ASAP with another video on the Unapologetic Truth channel, Aurora's channel, for Unapologetic Truth, I mean. If you do want to check me out on any of my other social medias, I will be linking all of them in the description box below. And if you do want to shop at Aurora's Angels UK and want to save yourself 30%, then my discount code is in the description box below, along with the website link. And yeah, I really look forward to the next video. I cannot wait to speak to you all again. Like, I'm really enjoying doing this so much. Being real is so much fun. Like, it's just coming out and I'm just like, yeah, and fuck it. But anyway, I'll see you all later, Hans, and yeah, have a good week.